Reason 3. Jungkook challenges the US pop star system. In the US pop industry, fame often follows a very particular script. An artist usually rises through domestic platforms, first local radio stations, small-scale performances, and eventually bigger award shows before global expansion happens. What makes Jungkook different is that he bypassed much of that system. Instead of following the expected route of an American pop star, he broke into the US charts directly as a South Korean artist, riding on the power of both his own talent and the BTS phenomenon. This unique pathway makes him an unusual case in the American music environment, and it creates a type of competition that established stars don't necessarily want to talk about. Unlike most American pop singers, Jungkook does not rely on US media cycles, late-night TV appearances, or constant label-driven promotions to stay visible. His presence is mostly digital, powered by a massive fan base that turns online trends into chart performance. When he releases a single, streams can skyrocket without needing traditional radio support. For American artists, radio spins and label backing are critical. Without them, success is hard to sustain. Jungkook shows that with a global fan base and a digital-first strategy, an artist can dominate without leaning on US industry structures. That's both impressive and disruptive, and many US pop stars would rather not acknowledge it openly. Another factor is credibility. In the American industry, credibility is often measured through a blend of award recognition, collaborations, and media visibility. Jungkook, however, has achieved global success without necessarily playing by those same rules. He may not have as many Grammy wins or traditional US music accolades yet, but his chart positions and record-breaking streams speak for themselves. For US pop singers, acknowledging Jungkook's popularity could mean admitting that the old model is no longer the only pathway to success. It places pressure on them to consider whether their dominance is as secure as they believe. There's also the issue of narrative control. US pop stars often thrive on controlling their personal and artistic narratives through media appearances, carefully crafted interviews, and award show moments. Jungkook's story, however, isn't dictated by US entertainment outlets. It's shaped by international press, social media, and fan communities. This takes the spotlight away from the US-centric narrative and shifts global attention to an artist whose journey developed outside that traditional framework. For some American singers, acknowledging this shift could mean recognizing that the US is no longer the unquestioned center of global pop music. Finally, there's the matter of influence. Jungkook is not just a singer. He's a cultural figure who bridges music, fashion, and global youth culture. His collaborations with brands like Calvin Klein prove that he's not limited to the music charts, but is reshaping what global stardom looks like for US pop stars. This creates a new kind of rivalry, one that extends beyond just chart performance. Recognizing Jungkook's popularity would mean recognizing a broader shift in influence, where non-American stars can hold the same, if not more, cultural power. For many, that acknowledgement is uncomfortable, so silence becomes a safer option. Reason 2. The fear of being outshined internationally. Pop stars in America are used to competing against each other within their own market. The rivalry between artists like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, or The Weeknd is framed around album sales, ticket sales, and streaming numbers within the US. But Jungkook operates on an international scale that makes those rivalries look small in comparison. His music releases are not just competing with one or two artists domestically, but are often competing with everyone globally all at once. This creates an uneven playing field, something American stars are not particularly eager to highlight. For example, when Jungkook releases a single, it doesn't just dominate in South Korea. It instantly trends across multiple continents, often breaking into the US. Billboard Hot 100 at high positions within days. Many American artists, even with strong label support, struggle to achieve that kind of instant worldwide attention. That level of international resonance can feel threatening, because it suggests that American pop stars are no longer guaranteed to be the world's most dominant figures in music. The issue also connects to cultural visibility. While American singers are accustomed to being at the center of global pop culture, Jungkook's rise demonstrates that audiences worldwide are just as eager to consume content in other languages. The fact that Korean language, or partially Korean songs, can achieve massive global traction undermines the long-standing assumption that English is the default language of global pop. Acknowledging Jungkook's popularity means admitting that US artists may no longer have the same linguistic advantage they once did. There's also the matter of social media engagement. Jungkook's fan interactions generate millions of likes, shares, and comments within minutes. His presence on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, often eclipses the engagement of even the biggest American stars. For US singers, this is a particularly sensitive comparison, because it reveals that their online influence, an increasingly critical component of modern stardom, is not always at the top. By staying silent on Jungkook's popularity, American pop stars avoid drawing attention to a rival whose digital footprint might surpass their own. Touring is another area where this tension surfaces. American singers rely heavily on tours to reinforce their presence in global markets. But Jungkook's reach demonstrates that artists don't always need to embark on massive world tours to command international attention. His visibility remains strong even when he is not actively touring, thanks to online platforms and dedicated fan activity. This raises questions about the necessity of traditional touring models for maintaining relevance. For American singers who depend on tours for both income and publicity, Jungkook's ability to dominate without them is a reminder that the industry is shifting in ways they may not be fully prepared for. In addition, collaborations play a role. Many American pop stars collaborate with each other to stay relevant. But Jungkook's collaborations with Western artists often lead to disproportionate attention. His joint projects quickly trend worldwide, sometimes overshadowing the Western artist he works with. This dynamic can make American singers cautious about acknowledging him, because doing so might inadvertently highlight how powerful his global pull really is. In essence, silence becomes a defensive strategy against being outshined internationally. Reason 1. Protecting the illusion of US pop supremacy. For decades, the US music industry has positioned itself as the ultimate leader of global pop culture. American pop singers have benefited from that positioning because it allowed them to be seen as the standard against which all other artists are measured. Jungkook's rise complicates that narrative. His success shows that global music dominance is no longer an American monopoly. And this shift has implications not just for the industry, but also for the perception of American pop stars themselves. By not openly acknowledging Jungkook's popularity, American singers maintain the illusion that they remain the undisputed leaders of global pop. If they were to admit that a South Korean artist is outperforming them in certain metrics, whether it's streaming records, online influence, or international recognition, they would risk disrupting the carefully curated image of US supremacy in music. This illusion is valuable because it sustains the belief that American pop remains the gold standard, even when reality is beginning to show otherwise. This silence also helps preserve fan loyalty. Many American pop stars depend on domestic audiences who still believe that the US is at the center of global culture. If those audiences were constantly reminded of Jungkook's international dominance, they might begin to question the global relevance of their own favorite artists. By avoiding the topic altogether, American singers sidestep the possibility of their fans comparing them unfavorably with Jungkook. Another layer to this is industry politics. Acknowledging Jungkook's popularity would also mean acknowledging the strength of the South Korean music industry and its ability to produce world-class talent. For US labels and artists, this could be seen as threatening, since it suggests that global pop culture is increasingly multipolar rather than US-dominated. Remaining quiet about Jungkook helps avoid feeding into that narrative. There's also a branding issue. American pop stars often build their image around being at the forefront of innovation and cultural influence. If Jungkook is recognized as the artist setting new global standards, it could undermine those carefully cultivated brands. Instead, American singers maintain a kind of selective silence. They don't deny Jungkook's success, but they don't openly amplify it either. This strategy allows them to protect their image while still navigating an industry that is clearly shifting. Lastly, the silence reflects a broader resistance to change. The US pop industry has operated for decades under assumptions that American culture drives global music trends. Jungkook's success suggests otherwise, that global audiences are just as willing to embrace artists outside the US system. By not acknowledging him, American pop stars are essentially holding onto a fading narrative. It's not necessarily hostility, but rather an attempt to maintain an illusion of stability in a rapidly changing cultural landscape.